Talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, May 6th. I am Tori holding it down with Al today.
I literally just looked at this camera like, who's that guy? It was me.
What were you surprised by? How good you looked?
Well, first of all, my top button is still buttoned because I was doing some, like the shout stain, and I forgot to undo it.
Why don't you take it off now? Relax.
All right,
take your
there
coat
we go.
off. Stay
Get some more viewers. I get it, and I can't get the button.
No. All right. My other co-hosts are safe and staying inside, but joining us from home is someone you might be missing. It's Brandon London.
Oh, yes. Cleaned up, B.
Cleaned up, B.
Hey, Al Jackson, man, go ahead and loosen up that top button, baby. This is DBL, you know? This is DBL.
That's right. I had to do it before you came on the screen looking all cool. Come on, man. I look like I'm his chaperone here.
It's a Brandon London After Dark. All right, a lot of confusion about what is actually going on right now. Let's get to the news with the Corona Task Force. Yesterday, the Vice President said the task force was winding down at the end of the month due to the tremendous progress we've made as a country. But this morning, President Trump tweeted that the task force will now continue on indefinitely. Meantime, in Texas, police arrested a bar owner and 6 armed men who stood out front of the bar to support the reopening. The bar owner violated the state's orders, which calls for bars to remain closed. Also in Texas, this salon owner who you see here ripping up her restraining order is wearing a face mask, is facing a week behind bars. She too ignored state orders here, and she opened up her salon. Here she is ripping that face mask up. Interesting.
That didn't blow away like she thought it was going to.
Yeah, it didn't blow away at all. It just dropped. She was in court yesterday to face charges. The judge in the case said she had acted selfishly. But the salon owner, Shelley Luther, disagreed with the judge. Here's what she had to say. Let's take a look.
Feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
So, Brandon, at first I'm like, oh my God, she's so selfish. And then I'm like, yo, Tori, people have to eat. Families have to eat. This has way more sides than black and white. This is a multifaceted conversation. What do you take on that, Belon?
I'm with you, Tori. It's so complex because, you know, when my parents got divorced, I was raised by, you know, a single mother for a couple years of my life where she had 3 children that she had to fend for. So talking to my mother said she would have drove Uber. She would have did what she had to do to put food on her kids' tables. But for that bar owner to have to say that she's going to do that and have armed men there, that's not trying to feed your kids. That's a call to action, I feel like. And that's just, you're putting the officers at risk when you have armed men there, and just to be able, so people can go and hang out at a bar.
Yeah, Brandon, what happened to Blue Lives Matter?
Yeah.
It's interesting how quickly that disintegrates.
Yeah,
I look at this and I understand when you just look at things, like I always say, don't fall into what I call the ice cube tray kind of situation where you just look at one thing. There's a ripple effect. If you want to feed your kids, you could get other people sick. So I understand feeding kids, that's important, but also it affects everybody else.
We're going to come back to that ice cube tray because I definitely didn't understand anything about it.
It's not an individual situation, Tori.
Oh, you mean there's a lot of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Some shocking new video is causing a massive uproar right now and protests calling for justice while others aren't so sure what to think. Okay, this is everywhere. This is the video showing the shooting death of 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery in February. This was back in February. We now have the video. He was shot by 2 white men, a former police officer and his son. Now, the video shows 2 men chasing him down, here it is, in a white pickup truck, okay? While Arbery seemingly is out just jogging, one of the men jumps out of the truck, and a warning to our viewers, what happened next is crazy graphic. There is a struggle, as you see, between Arbery and one of the men carrying the shotgun. You can actually hear some shots before you see Arbery with the shotgun pointed at his chest. Man, is that hard to see. The father and son have not been arrested. They are free, and they claim they thought that Arbery was a burglary suspect. Today, Joe Biden says it was clear he was killed in cold blood. The case will now go to a grand jury, but so far, again, the 2 men have not been charged. So we're going to try and unpack this as best we can from what we see. Let's be clear. We don't know what happened before this. What appears to be a man out for a jog got a death sentence, but we don't know that. How do you take this, Al, when you see this video?
Well, I look at it, and we're going to hear a lot of words about this, Tori. Everybody's going to have something to say, as they should. But I think we should focus less on what people say, but we need to focus on what is done. These men are sitting at home, maybe watching DBL right now, and that says more than anything else. As a former middle school teacher, if I had a student tell me to shut up, how I handled that was going to dictate how the rest of my class year would go in terms of how the other students reacted. When people look at this, they see what they see on this videotape, and they realize that these men are just out and about and have not been arrested or not been detained. It says something about your society.
I know what you mean. Brandon, is this, you know, again, we don't know the full story here, but it seems that jogging is now a death sentence for a black man. Again, we don't know everything. How do you feel when you see this? How do you react emotionally?
I can't react emotionally, Tori. I'm reserving my anger because remember with the Amber Geiger situation, I got worked up right away. And then when I wait now, because it always seems like all you have to do is plug and play names. Unarmed black person named such and such was killed by such and such, you know? So I'm gonna wait till the verdict and for my anger, because I believe that these men sadly are going to get off because there have been 2 DAs recused because of the professional ties of one of the culprits. I think this is something that as we continue to go down and we find more and more, yes, there's going to be that outrage, but I think it's going to be one of those George Zimmerman type situations. And I am ashamed to say that, but I have no faith in our justice system when it comes to the killing of unarmed black men.
I think it's sad, but very true to say. Also, just so you know what people are writing in, John Venturini says, what you witnessed is an unadulterated homicide and they need to be prosecuted as such. Simple as that. Keep writing us in if you disagree. We'd love to hear from you too. DBL, live and always talking. Coming up, our Dr. Kohli is back to answer your coronavirus questions. Make sure to stick around for that. Plus, a former contestant from The Voice is providing some real needed comic relief in these tough times. A look at his hilarious parodies when we come back. And check out our almost empty studio, only a couple people here. Hey, Chris Clark, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, well, most of our producers are busy working so hard at home to put DBL on the air while we social distance. We love y'all, appreciate y'all. We'll be right back. Welcome back to DBL. We're all about facts, not fear, and mac and cheese. And of course, providing information to keep you and your loved ones safe. Dr. Kohli joins us live. Oh, I love her in that floral. You're killing the spring wear. Now, before we get to viewer questions, we're hearing now reports about the virus, and it's mutating and even appears to be more contagious now. Is this something we need to keep an eye on? Because I was like, uh-oh, Doc, what's going on?
So, Tori, the short answer is yes, we do need to keep an eye on it, but we're not really all that worried because we do know that viruses tend to mutate. And so far, the virus has shown that it can mutate, but there's no solid scientific evidence that this mutation is actually making it more contagious. This is all a theoretical concern at this point. Okay. So mutations occur. They can sometimes make it actually less virulent, but at this point, I'm not super concerned about these mutations that are happening.
Okay. All right, Doc, let's get to these viewer comments. A lot of questions out there. Maria says, now the department stores are reopening. Can coronavirus stay on clothes and other items? That's a good question.
So Maria, certainly can stay on clothes. We don't know exactly how long because clothes are a soft surface, but keep in mind that the hard surfaces like zippers and buttons and plastic hangers, it can stay on for up to 3 days. So what I'm doing personally is not going to department stores and trying clothes on. I'm doing most of my shopping online. And if you do want to try something on, just make sure you really wash your hands thoroughly after you touch anything.
Wow, that's how she gets those cute clothes out.
All right.
John wants to know, is a face shield a good substitute for a face mask?
Actually, John, a study just came out in the Journal of the American Medical Association that is saying that a face shield may actually be better than a face mask in terms of preventing things from getting in. But there are a few caveats. The first is it has to go all the way down below your chin. The second is it has to cover your ears all the way around. And the third is there has to be a tight seal across the top near your forehead. And you can imagine these are easier to clean, they're more comfortable to wear, and they actually prevent you from touching your face. But the opposite thing is not necessarily true, that face shields are not as good at not letting droplets out. And remember, one of the reasons that we're wearing the mask is because we want to prevent our droplets from getting out. So ideally, if you could wear the mask and the face shield, that would really be the best combination. But they're certainly looking into whether they could be a substitute for face masks.
Really interesting. All right. Marina asks, is it possible that if I had coronavirus, if I was severely ill last fall? I've heard this a lot from a lot of friends, Doc.
So the earliest that we saw coronavirus in China was November 17th. So it's unlikely that it was here in the United States before that, but certainly that date has been getting pushed farther and farther back as we've been learning more about this. But I would recommend that you go get the antibody test, because if you've had the virus, those antibodies are likely to be positive. That's a marker that you've had the virus, and that would be a great way to know.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, before we go, it's time for my favorite part of the day, and the Doc's and Al's.
Yes.
Dr. Kohli's silver lining. Oh, you're back.
Yes, Lord.
Yay! Finally! Today is such a special day. Tell us why, and it's all about nurses.
So today, you guys, is National Nurses Day, and the nurses are the silver lining for me today because they're the real healthcare heroes. So not only are the ones that they're actually at the bedside, you know, giving the patient dignity, helping them empty their bedpan, helping keep them clean, also providing their medical care, but in many cases for these COVID patients who are at the end of their lives and their families are not allowed to come and visit them, it's the nurse who becomes their family, who holds their hand when they take their last breath. And to me, that's just incredibly moving.
I do too. I don't know if you know this. I think I told you this, Doc. My mom's very ill and has been ill and in and out of hospitals all our lives. And I very quickly learned, not only do you want more information, you go to the nurses. If you want emotional support, it's not that the doctors, not like you guys are robots, but there's something about a nurse that can throw her arm or his arms around you and make you feel like you're the only one in that room. And I cannot thank nurses enough. You've saved my mother, you saved our family, and you've saved countless amount of lives. Thank you, nurses. Of course.
They often say that, you know, doctors cure and nurses care. And I think that that's so true.
Wow,
you know?
That's so true. And anyone in nursing school, just bravo, mazel tov, continually amazing.
We really do appreciate nurses on this show. And I mean, I think we have something later to show that.
I think we do too. Thank you, of course, Dr. Kohli. We'll be back tomorrow. So if you have a question about coronavirus you want answered, write us on social media. You can also email info@dailyblastlive.com. There's no panic, just prevention and precautions. You want to do it? The Cuomo. We'll be right back.
I like that.
come any closer, huh? I'll mess you up. I ain't just coming in for some white Corona. Kroger's full of empty
Welcome back to DBL. That is singer Chris Mann. Some might say he's the Weird Al of these Corona times. As a former contestant on NBC's The Voice, Chris is used to the spotlight, but his Corona-inspired remakes have launched him to a different kind of fame. Co-host Jeff Schroeder recently spoke with the singer about all his viral stay-at-home video remakes. I think they're awesome. Check it out.
All right, the man who made Christina Aguilera cry on national television, Chris Mann, welcome to DBL, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I've made her cry off of television as well. It's something I do.
Good to know, good to know. Well, let's jump right in. You've been a serious musician for the past 20 years now, but you're going viral for your hilarious parodies. I gotta know, which persona is the real Chris? Is there one?
I need toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper. I'm out of toilet paper. It's my Corona.
You know, it's an interesting question. I think, you know, that they're all me. This whole comedy thing is a complete accident. If you came to one of my shows, you would know that in between those beautiful big songs, I would, you know, cut up with the audience quite a bit. So it was always there, but it was never something that I you know, intentionally leaned into.
Your videos are getting millions of views, but which one specifically has gotten the biggest response?
Well, the My Corona one has the most views. It's at, I don't know, close to 30 million views or something. But the Adele video I did, for sure, I think solidified this whole thing.
Hello from the inside. It's just me and myself and I.
It was just the combination of her incredible song. It's so melodramatic, and then smushing my face against the window, I think, kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah, and Chris, you know, I appreciate your humor. I think we need levity, especially in a situation like this. That's how I roll. But what do you say to all those people out there that say you're kind of making light of a serious situation?
I haven't been making light of this at all. It's really just a way of dealing with my own frustration of the quarantine.
Look around. Everywhere you turn is COVID. It's everywhere that you go. Just look around.
It's not just to parody Corona, which is really what that My Corona one was, the accident, but in fact to talk very specifically about where we are in this, you know, 6 weeks in now process and how we feel.
How is your son handling this newfound fame? Because you put him in some videos.
Yeah, I gotta play all day 'cause the daycare closed. I'm gonna cry till I can't no more.
He is a little bit, his head has grown just a bit, like he's more demanding about the crackers that he wants.
What's next for you? We don't know when this pandemic is gonna end. We're still on lockdown. Are these ideas flowing? Do you got more videos in the bank?
My new one, which is a Garth Brooks song, To Friends in Low Places.
Remember when we could be together, we could high-five hands without Purell leather. Oh, I had real friends before COVID.
That one, the concept of that is real friends before COVID, which is we're all stuck at home. We haven't seen our friends in a long time, so you start to, you know, make friends with your plants, and you have full conversations with them, and they understand you, and maybe they piss you off and you get in fights, or you talk to the broom, or you end up hooking up with the mop. You know, you name it, it happens in this video.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us here on Daily Blast Live, and I encourage everyone to go to Chris's YouTube channel if you want to check out his music. Thanks, everybody. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. Al, you know what you do if you want to brighten up your backyard or your
Talk to me.
patio with some greenery this
I've been
summer?
doing that, by the way. I got pictures.
Really?
Yeah.
Little green thumb over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you.
Look at that. All right, well, Steph has an easy and fun idea in today's DBL Decked Out, presented by Sunsetter Awnings.
Hey everyone, I've got a great DIY project once we've all got a little bit of extra time on our hands that'll spruce up any outdoor space, particularly balconies and patios. It's called a living succulent and moss wall, and it's become really trendy and popular. What you're going to need is a deep framed wooden box, soil, some moss and succulents, some chicken wire and some weed control film. Let's get to it. First up, we need to prepare our wooden planter box for the soil. So in order to do that, I've cut a piece of weed control film and I'm just going to line out the box and staple it in place. Next, we need to fill our planter with soil. Make sure that it goes to the top of the box. After you've filled up the wooden box with soil, we're then going to put on our chicken wire. We just need to measure it and then staple it in place. Next up, we want to seal in the soil and hide the chicken wire. So we're going to put on about another layer of the control film and staple it in place. So now the base for our living wall is ready. The soil's in place and everything's secure. It's time to get planting. So using some pliers, we're going to snip some little holes as to where we're going to put our succulents and moss. This is the time to get creative. So there you have it, a living moss and succulent wall. Now all you need to do is let the plants sit for about a week to get ready and used to their new home, and then you can hang it to your wall. So guys, happy planting. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been so much fun. For more ways to brighten up your patio, call Sunsetter Awnings at 1-800-632-5908.
That looks really fun. Brandon, what is your favorite flower? Do you have like a favorite plant or favorite flower?
Ooh, roses, just because you know, the whole love, the whole bachelor thing, you know.
How creative, Al.
How many people in our
roses?
audience think that Brandon knew one flower? And that was it.
I was going to say petunia.
We'll see you same time, same place
Petunia.
tomorrow. You roasted the occasion there, Brandon. Good job.